Hello everybody and welcome back to Mindful SMP. It is very exciting times here on the server because they have announced a date for 1.18 and that date is November 30th. So we will update the server shortly after that. And I'm very excited to explore the new caves and the new cliffs and yeah, figure out what are we going to do next. I do have some ideas, but if you have suggestions, definitely leave me a comment and let me know what you think I should do once we open up the world. Want to check and see how we're doing over here. Things definitely feel like they've slowed down a little bit. A lot of folks have, their armor and things like that happening now. Couple in the efficiency. You in the mending. Couple fortune. King infinity. Power. Punch. Flame. None of the new ones yet. That's okay. So I had mentioned in a previous episode that we had made a deal that we were all going to stick very close to spawn. And then once 1.18 dropped, we would reset everything in the world that was over 1,000 or so blocks away. So I'm going to show you a little graphic. This is the world that we have explored so far. We were able to get kind of a map of all of the chunks that we had loaded. This is the area that we're going to save. So everything outside of that little square is going to get reset. So all of the adventuring, all of the resource gathering, all of that gets wiped out, and we get to re-render those chunks in the 1.18 world. So it'll pretty much just be kind of the spawn chunks. The swamp is right on the edge of the 1.17 world. So right beyond the swamp, that's where it's going to reset. Very, very excited. I've been waiting for this update for a long time. And, the newest pre-releases, man, oh man, do they look good. I'm so excited. The caves, the mountains, everything is just so much cooler looking. The rivers are better looking, the hills are better looking, the biomes and the way they're generated, it's so much cooler. I'm just really, really excited. We are going to run over to the end real quick. One thing you'll notice immediately, it says, I am outside the safe zone. So we are likely going to have to find another portal frame so that we can get to the end again. So we have a couple of new members that have joined the server. One of them, his name is Minion. He built an Enderman Farm. Oops. Let's try that again. Okay, got all my stuff back. So I was going to say, Minion built this really quickly and really appreciate him doing that because it's a great source of XP. It needs a little bit of decorating here. And as you can see, there's a little bit of problem there because Enderman can spawn and that sort of thing. So we'll clear that up. But yeah, we finally have access to tremendous amounts of XP, which is really awesome. And yeah, maybe we'll work on decorating this at some point. I do like the mix of endstone and deep slate. I think that's pretty cool looking. I don't think there's anything other than water right here, and I wish it was a little safer feeling. And then obviously that landing point back there needs a little attention just to make sure we're totally spawn proof. But otherwise, I think this is a really, really great space. He built it really low in the world, so the spawns are really, really good. There's also something going on up here on the obsidian platform. You guys know what this is here. Leave me a comment and let me know if you think you know what this is. It's a pretty cool thing, and I didn't know anybody was going to build something like this, but it could come in handy. Mindful SMP is sponsored by MC Pro Hosting. If you want to play on a server with friends, you can save 20% by using the code MINDFUL at checkout. So now that our tools are all mended up and I've shown you the Enderman Farm, let's talk about our Carnival. We got our opening soon sign. I'm going to put some really loud gates here. There we go. That way people open to get in, and then when they walk through, it'll close automatically behind. That way we won't get any mobs walking in. Open, auto close. Nice. So right now I have about 8 ideas for games and attractions for the Mindful members. What I imagine is that we'll come into the Carnival entrance and be greeted by a ticket booth, and maybe we'll sell tokens for like 20 for a diamond or something like that, and then you could use the tokens to ride the rides or play the games, and then maybe when you play the games you could win more tokens, and then we could have like a prize booth where players could redeem the tokens for prizes and things like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. Still kind of fleshing the idea out. If you have suggestions, leave me a comment, let me know. Today we're going to build our first game. The first game I think is going to be a pretty simple concept. I want there to be a target block and the players will shoot it, and if they get a bullseye, they win a token. And I want it to be timed, so they only have so long to try and get the bullseye. So it's a pretty simple concept, but I think it's going to involve a lot of redstone. So whenever I'm doing redstone kind of out in the wild, I always put cobblestone down first before I put dust down. And the reason is if somebody else is coming along and they're digging underneath and they run into cobblestone, they'll probably realize that somebody built something here and they won't break it. Whereas if I was just to put redstone dust on top of sand and they come digging from underneath, they could very well just destroy the whole thing, and that would be really hard to fix. So yeah, cobblestone very rarely appears naturally, and so it's usually a good sign for people that this is something that somebody placed here, don't break it. So I'm thinking here's where you'll stand to do the shooting, that's where the target will be, and then this is the dropper that will dispense tokens, and then this is the button to start the game. So I definitely want the target block to only be exposed for a limited amount of time. So we're going to have a sticky piston with a block, and this will pop up and down to reveal the target block. And we need to know when the target gets hit, so we're going to put a comparator behind the target. So I'm going to make a clock to retract this block for a certain amount of time. Okay, so what I've got going on here is I have a redstone block, and the repeater is pushing that signal into this block, which extends this piston covering the target. Now, over here, this redstone block is locking this hopper, and I have a bunch of items in there. When I push this button over here, signal will come through and push this block across. So that'll bring down this piston, and it'll unlock this hopper, so items start flowing over here. Once this gets to a certain level, the signal will come along and it will push this block back into place, which will drain all the items back into here and re-extend this. So let's give it a shot real quick. I'm going to push this button and that piston should drop. There we go. And then the items are flowing from one to the other, and as soon as we get enough, kick it back up. There we go. Earlier, there were a few people on the server, and I was getting really inconsistent results here, so I don't know if it was server lag or what, but I'll keep playing with it, and hopefully this works. So the next thing I want to do is make sure I'm only giving a prize out if they get a bullseye. Okay, I brought that signal all the way around, and then if I was to hit a bullseye, that's the only time that it would reach this repeater. And I'm going to put some items in here, and let's see if we can get a bullseye. A little low. There we go. I got one. So you can see it spit that one cobblestone into my inventory there. So yeah, I think this is a good distance. It's not really easy to hit that bullseye. You know, once you kind of figure out the sweet spot, you might get lucky at it, but I only got one that time, so that was really, really cool. So eventually we'll figure out what we're going to use for tokens, and we will have tokens dispensed whenever somebody hits a bullseye. I also want to make it so we don't just push a button to start the game, but you insert a token to start the game. Okay, so basically what I've done is underneath this hopper, I've built an item filter. So if we run down here, you can see there's a little row of hoppers and some redstone back there. In this hopper, I have some sand and some dummy items. The sand is where we're going to put our tokens. So this machine right now will only run on sand. In the future, we want it to only run on tokens. And what I mean by that is if somebody was to come along and throw in a redstone dust, nothing happens. If they were to throw in a cobblestone, nothing happens. If they throw in sand, which is what we want, this will start, and you can see the game has begun. The way that is working is this hopper here that contains this item is pushing through just a little bit of a redstone signal, and when it receives one more, that signal spills over enough to turn this torch off, and that allows our item to flow through. When this torch turns off, it also kills this signal, which allows this torch to turn back on for a moment, which then starts our game. So let's try it out real quick. I'm going to throw in a sand, grab our bow, see if we can get anything here. Nope, lousy shot. Close. Not today. But that is basically how the game's going to work. And you know, it's kind of crazy how much redstone goes into such a simple little game. You know, it's just get a bullseye while the target is exposed and win tokens. But we've got a little item filter to make it so the game only starts when you insert a token. We've got a little clock so that the target is exposed for a certain amount of time. We have a line of redstone that only dispenses tokens when you get a bullseye. And all of that is working together to make our little game happen. So really the last thing we have to do is just theme it, you know, decorate it a little bit so that it looks like a finished game. I'm going to think a little bit about what I want it to look like. And I also want to figure out what I'm going to use for tokens. If you've got ideas, leave me any suggestions in the comments. I would appreciate it. But otherwise, I think that's where I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had fun. Please like and subscribe if you want to follow along on the adventure. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.